Last month, this film recently celebrated its 40th anniversary. Now, I have reviewed this film before, but I'm going to do a full-length re-review of this film. So I ask you, do you think children are innocent, or do you think they're, oh, I don't know, mischievous? Well, they can be either, unless, of course, they happen to worship an entity known as He Who Walks Behind the Rose. Brace yourselves, because here's a re-review of Stephen King's Children of the Corn. These are Timber Breakings and Reviews. So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name is Dual, better known to as the Big D, and this time around I bring to you a re-review of the 1984 supernatural horror flick, Children of the Corn, and advertised as Stephen King's Children of the Corn, released by New World Pictures in 1984. Now, this came out on March 9th of that year, so I'm just a month late for its anniversary because I just couldn't get onto the schedule. So, anyway, directed by Fritz Kirsch and based on Stephen King's short story of the same name from 1977, the film's cast consists of Peter Horton, Linda Hamilton, John Franklin, Courtney Gains, Robby Kiger, and Marie McEvoy, Julie, Maddalena and R.G. Armstrong. It's set in the fictitious rural town of Gatlin, Nebraska. The film tells the story of a malevolent entity referred to as He Who Walks Behind the Rose, which entices the town's children to ritually murder all the town's adults as well as a couple driving across the country to ensure a successful corn harvest. Now, King wrote the original draft of the screenplay, which focused more on the main characters, Bert and Vicky, who I'll get to in a bit, and depicted more history on the uprising of the children in Gatlin. The script was disregarded in favor of George Goldsmith's screenplay, which featured more violence and more conventional narrative structure. Anyway, this film, well, became a big franchise and what have you, and was met with mixed reviews and what have you, and even inspired a rap group with the same name. Alright, now, film is set in the fictional town of Gatlin, Nebraska, an agricultural community surrounded by huge cornfields. When the corn crop fails one year, townsfolk turn to prayer to ensure a successful harvest. However, 9-year-old Isaac Kroner takes all of the Gatlin children to the cornfields and indoctrinates them into a religious cult based around a bloodthirsty deity called He Who Walks Behind the Rose. Isaac and his subordinate Malachi lead the children in a revolution, murdering all the adults in town as human sacrifices. Children Job and his sister Sarah are uninvolved in the sacrifices, having not attended the meetings with the other children. 3 years later, Vicky and her boyfriend Bert travel through rural Nebraska on their way to Seattle, where Bert will start work as a physician. A young boy named Joseph tries to flee Gatlin but is attacked in the corn. He stumbles out into the road and Bert accidentally runs him over. However, Bert discovers that his throat was cut beforehand. Searching for help, the couple finds Dial, an elderly mechanic and the last adult in Gatlin. He refuses them service as he has agreed to supply the children with fuel in exchange for his life. Malachi breaks the pact and murders him after he tries to steer the couple away from Gatlin. Vicky and Bert explore the abandoned town and find Sarah alone in a house. Malachi and his followers capture Vicky and take her to the cornfield, where they place her on a cross to be sacrificed. Bert enters the church where a congregation of children led by a girl named Rachel are performing a cultural birthday ritual for Amos by drinking his blood from a pentagram-shaped cut on his body. Amos has turned 19, so is considered old enough for his passing join their god in the cornfield. Rachel stabs Bert, who is rescued by Job, and they hide in a fallout shelter with Sarah. Isaac scolds Malachi for killing Dial, their only source of fuel. Malachi takes over, tired of Isaac's preaching, and orders Isaac to be sacrificed instead of Vicky. Isaac warns that sacrificing him will break their pact with he who walks behind the rows, and the children will be punished. That night, Bert sneaks into the cornfield to rescue Vicky. Now, and I'm going to go to the ending. You know the procedure. 5 seconds to stop this video. Go to the description box below. Fast forward to the time below. As I start a countdown, if you've seen this movie already, please continue. Okay, you've been warned. During Isaac's sacrifice, a supernatural light appears and devours him. But Bert overpowers Malachi and convinces the children to abandon the cult and run. Isaac reappears, possessed by he who walks behind the rows, informing Malachi that he wants you too, and Isaac kills him. A storm appears, and Bert and Vicky shelter the children in a barn. Reading from Job's Bible, Vicky realizes that the cornfield must be destroyed by fire in order to stop the false god. Bert tosses a Molotov cocktail into the field, setting it alight and destroying the demon along with Isaac. The couple returns to the car with Job and Sarah to leave Galen, but find it disabled. Rachel attacks Bert, but Vicky knocks her out, and they depart with the children on foot. End of story. So, what did I think of Stephen King's Children Around the Corn? I'm going to say I actually like it for obvious reasons because this was an 80s horror film, what have you. Sure, it doesn't have much graphic violence or gory bits, kind of like, well, like we get in bigger franchises like Halloween or Friday the 13th or even Nightmare on Elm Street, which that didn't come out till later on that year. But anyway, this is a guilty pleasure. I've watched this numerous times. So anyway, I am going to say this was really, really something. So I have to agree with what went on with this and why this was just so wow. Pretty shocking, what have you. I am going to say that its environments are pretty good and what have you, in a way. I know it's kind of feels like you're in a ghost town once they arrive at Galen, Bert and Vicky. But anyway, the film did okay, making 14 million at the box office. The film sits at 39% on Rotten Tomatoes, saying the film's strong premise and beginning gets shucked away for a kiddie thriller that runs in circles. Yeah, true, it does kind of make you feel like you're going in circles and what have you. Now, the Chicago Sun-Times says by the end of the film, the only thing moving behind the rows is the audience fleeing to the exits. The New York Times says as such movies go, the film is fairly entertaining if you can stomach the gore and the sound of child actors trying to talk in something that might be called Farm Belt biblical. Empire gave this a decent review, commending its originality but criticized its obvious budgetary constraints, poor effects, and ludicrous monster movie denouement. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. If I did, I apologize. Rolling Stone ranked the film at number 7 in its list of top 30 Stephen King movies, calling it a lean, brutally tense slasher film. Well, it is slasher and what have you in a way. So, I thought it was, again, pretty good and what have you, but you don't have to take my word for it. The sequels do get a little factually bloodier, though, as it has a sequel called The Final Sacrifice, which would be released many years later and would be the only film released in theaters. The rest of the films would be direct to video and what have you. Now, in 2018, there would be a TV remake was in the works and premiere on the Sci-Fi Channel the following year. On September 26, 2009, and the television remake closely follows the original storyline present in the short story, and not that of the original film. I've seen most of that film, and I wasn't too thrilled with it, unfortunately. Now, last year we got a second film adaptation, which was originally released, well, shortly after during the pandemic in October of 2020. Yeah, it was released last March, but it didn't use the characters from the short story, instead introducing, well, some new characters and along with the elements from the original story, which I will be reviewing that film. Don't I can't guarantee the 2009 film. If it pops up somewhere, mind you, I might review it later on. Now, I've I've said I'm only going to do review, well, four of the sequels, the second, third, fourth, and the fifth ones. Now, I will do the rest later on. Well, and of course, that I will be reviewing the 2020 remake. Well, I mean reboot. Sorry, but anyway, a lot of the Children of the Corn sequels are mostly a miss than a hit. I think some are okay, but they're not as good as this one. But you have to take my word for it. Now, for our cast, we have Peter Horton as Bert Stanton, and he did a pretty good job. Playing Vicky is Linda Hamilton, who later that same year would play Sarah Connors in The Terminator. And of course, she went on to do numerous other things, like appear on TV's Beauty and the Beast with Ron Perlman, and of course, start as Sarah Connors, this, well, again, in Terminator 2 Judgment Day. She's been in other things. R.G. Armstrong played the old man, Dial. Well, of course, remember this. I remember this guy. He appeared in Predator later on, and he had recently appeared in another cult classic horror flick, and that being The Car. John Franklin played Isaac. He would later go on to play Cousin It in the original Addams Family live action films. And also, he would do the voice of the big good guy doll in the original Child's Play. When, the one that introduces us as a good guy doll, and Andy's watching it. Yeah. Now, playing Malachi is Courtney Gains, who had recently appeared in the cult classic teen comedy Hard Bodies. For the rest of the cast, we have Robby Kiger as Job, and Marie McEvoy as Sarah. Those two were pretty good. Julie Maddalena played Rachel, Jonas Marlowe as Joseph, and John Philbin as Amos. Yeah, those characters weren't too bad and what have you. It does have a score from Jonathan Elias, which is pretty eerie and pretty haunted, especially the main theme at the intro and the closing. Yeah, I will say it kind of feels kind of more creepier than it almost kind of makes you feel like you're hearing a different take on well with the I it's hard to say what the little choir like sounds and what have you, childlike choir singing and what have you, like what you heard in the theme to the Amityville horror. Yeah, kind of makes you feel like you're hearing that sort of, but it's a different song though. Anyway, I will say Children of the Corn can be a hit or miss, but I think it's more hit than miss, but that's just from my point of view. I would recommend you give this a one time watch, but that's all I'm going to tell you. I'd say a one time watch this. The story isn't too bad. The characters are pretty good. The environment's not too bad, even though it makes you feel like you're in a ghost town or something like that. The cast is fine and what have you. So overall, I would recommend you give the original Children of the Corn a one-time watch. It's very easy to find. You can find it on physical media, and you can also find it on various streaming services. And that's that. So, what did you think of Children of the Corn from 1984? Let me know in the comments section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. And join me next time when I bring to you a spoiler-free review of Bob Marley, One Love. And next week, you'll be getting more Children of the Corn reviews. So I hope you enjoyed my re-review of Children of the Corn. And if you liked it, check out my reviews for these other films. In the upper left-hand corner, you can see my re-review of Friday the 13th, the final chapter, which was released the same year. Unfortunately, I failed to do a re-review of part 3, so I do humbly apologize for that said for you to watch my part 3 re-review, but I didn't do one, so I do humbly apologize for that. Or if you would like maybe something else from 1984, you can also check out my reviews for these other films. In the upper right hand corner is my review of Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers from 1988, which that's a very underrated film. Or you can go to the bottom left hand corner and see my re-review of the original Child's Play from 1989, 1988. Sorry, not 89. 99, sorry. In the bottom right hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. And please continue to help support my channel and make it grow and get to helping these views go up. Instead of having them take a nosedive in views, okay? So thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.